Welcome to Tantra Lounge, Sex Talk Radio. Divine Kika is a radiant force, overflowing with positive energy, guiding you to a heart-opening, blissful, authentic tantric experience. This show will help you to expand your joy, cultivate more intimacy in your life, and rediscover the pleasure within your personal relationship. Dive in and discover untapped intimacy and true joy for yourself or with your beloved. Bring back the harmony and happiness that you long for. Let's begin an unforgettable journey that will leave an imprint on your heart and soul forever. Welcome to Tantra Lounge, Sex Talk Radio. Here's your host, Divine Kika.
Welcome to another edition of the Tantra Lounge. I'm a guest host for the week. My name is Greg from here at Daisy 1170 AM, and I'm excited to sit in with the Divine Kika. This is so exciting for me, Kika.
I'm so happy you're here today joining us. This is awesome.
I've been listening and working with you since you started the show. We started this at the end of the summer, in August, I believe it was, in the beginning of August. And in several months, 2-3 months now, the show has really developed, and I think there's been so much amazing information for people to learn about how to improve their love lives and their sex lives. And I really think it's so important for everyone to understand how easy it is to take these steps towards improving their own relationship, because so many fail at their own relationship because they don't look inward, as you always say, to kind of look inside and see, maybe I'm not doing enough for my partner. Maybe I need to do more, and maybe we need to do more and make it more of a mission to improve our love life and our sex life. And I have questions for you that hopefully will maybe help some of our listeners understand better what they can do. So let me start by asking you, as an average person, what do you find to be the biggest problem in most of the average relationships of the people you deal with? What are the main things that really hold back a relationship? I
think most of us really want to feel understood. That's like the core of our beings. We want to feel seen and understood. And we want to understand and feel ourselves. And a lot of us have lost that sense of who we are and what we really want. And we get into this compromising and being into what our culture wants to be, or parents told us to be, or religion told us to be. And we forget what we really want.
I think you're so right about religion, too. I feel so many people are afraid to maybe explore places that might be of interest to them, but because they're afraid maybe this is dirty, or maybe this is something that would be frowned upon from my religious upbringing. And I don't think that should ever come into play with a relationship. Do you agree with that?
I think we should bring God into bed with us.
That's weird, yet completely intriguing. I'm sure God will be happy about that.
Well, the thing is, like, our very essence, like what drives our psyche is sexuality. And once we deny it, we keep making it so big. Our whole lives make sexuality such a big thing. Everything we do, we want to be important, we want to make money, we want to look good, to have more sex, but we don't admit it. That's and I like to take people on a journey and imagine a world where we all could feel fulfilled sexually, emotionally, and physically.
My chair is sinking. I'm
like, what's going on?
I'm like, wow, I'm really sinking.
I'm like sinking into what I'm saying.
Powerful your statements are. It drove me into the ground, literally. No, I'm sorry, continue.
So like, if you really, like, it was nice that I received so much love, that I allow myself to be empowered by my sexuality, by my pleasure, by my feeling, by my sensations in my body, where I awaken as a woman, and then I come forth as a priestess, as a loving being that is fulfilled. And when I bring that kind of power into the world, and I wake up in the morning with that kind of energy, the gifts that I give to my kids, to wherever I go. If I'm teaching, I teach yoga for kids, and when I bring that, and I'm so well loved like that, the class that I teach for the children will be a lot better.
And little did they know that comes from being more fulfilled
sexually and emotionally and well loved.
That brings an interesting point, because a lot of people can't find the time in their marriage with kids, with their schedules, driving this one to soccer practice or doing this with, making sure that this child gets their homework done. When is the time for our personal pleasure? When does that come from with a busy lifestyle?
So what is the priority in your life? Like, people make a priority to, okay, the kids got to be taken care of.
Right.
I have kids.
A1,
I'm all
right.
about, yes, the kids got to be taken care of. But the kids got to go to bed at 8:30.
Yeah.
So I can have a life.
So you got to be quiet,
and they can
though.
sleep well.
Yeah, exactly.
And they can be healthier. And I see a big issue within couples is that they let the children dominate them. And I'm not talking about like controlling your children, but give them some guidance. Kids feel safe with structure, with routine.
Right.
That's known.
Yes.
And if a child sleeps early and gives enough time for the couple to connect, and I understand some children have issues sleeping by themselves, and the
Right.
parents have a hard time with that. But I always made a point, even when I was married, and today, like I have a 7-year-old, and sometimes he comes to mom's bed at night.
Yeah.
And I always go to his bed and I lay down with him in his bed until
That's where he
falls
belongs.
asleep.
Right.
And he feels safe in there because my presence somehow is still there with him and he feels safe.
Right.
But when I go to my bed, I have my own space.
So he knows not to go and push his
He
way
knows
into your
that if
bedroom.
he comes to me, I'll give him the attention he's needing because I want to be there for him.
Right.
But I will go to his bed. He's not going to come to my bed.
Right.
Because the mom's bed is mom's sacred space.
Well, that's why I think you started by creating that sacred space and making sort of drawing a line with your child or your children saying, hey, this is where mommy goes, and if you need me and you want me to lay down with you, I will come into your bedroom.
You.
But I know a lot of couples have that challenge of
yes.
finding the balance of because every couple I know, friends of mine, for over the years have said that once you get married, you have those honeymoon years, the first couple of years before you have kids, if you are fortunate enough, or if you have that. But they find that after that period of a year or 2 years, the sex life tends to go downhill. And it's not only because of kids, it's because of comfort. I believe you get comfortable. You lose sight of being in shape, maybe. You don't feel good about yourself. Is that something you'd agree with?
Well, there is a lot of things that come into play. First, like when a man sees a woman delivering a child can be very traumatized
Scarring,
sexually
yes.
for the man. I do not recommend it. It's a beautiful thing, but a lot of men cannot handle that.
Stay up towards the top?
I would say look at her face.
Yes.
Stay beside her. I had both experiences. My first child was one way, and it really ruined it. It really traumatized my sexual life. Mm-hmm. And then the second one, I told my husband, I said, when I was married,
yeah.
I told him, like, stay right here in my face and with me. I don't want you to watch what's going on there. And it really helped us sexually to come back to our sexuality. And being a mom, when the men perceive a woman as being a mom, and then she's no longer the sexy diva, but now she's the mother of my child, and I must respect and honor the mother of my child, or she's no longer a sexual being.
Right.
That is kind of like a distortion, a misconception, a very wrong belief that the mother of the child can no longer be sexual. And then she goes through that period after giving birth that she needs to rest and get her womb back to
feel herself
we
again.
say like where the mother of the body comes back to place.
Right.
That's how we say it in Brazil. And so all those things come in play, and then having a new being in the house. But how can we make so the love between the parents is so big that it grows and creates the harmony within the family? So in the ancient India, 4,000 years ago, Tantra was taught to the families to bring harmony to the household.
Right.
To bring, so kids, people literally would learn that the art of lovemaking, the art of connection, the art of learning energy.
The kids learn this?
That they learn as they grow how to connect as a family.
Right.
And those techniques were used to keep the family together, to keep harmony within the family and within the villages.
Divine Kika is an international Tantra master, author, seminar leader, relationship, and sex coach. She will teach you to master your sexuality and self-awareness so you can experience fulfillment and happy relationships while living a life of love, power, and passion. Achieve the love life you have always wanted and have the best sex ever. For life-changing relationship advice and great lovemaking tips, visit divinekika.com. That's divine, Kika.com.
It's amazing to know that, because I do think when you talk about the challenges of, especially with a child, the thought is always, all the focus goes on the child, none of it goes onto our sex life or goes into our sex life. But there are ways, and I'm sure you're going to share some of them with me, that we can take those first steps, because I don't think it can happen overnight when it comes to rediscovering yourself and what you really are aroused by and turned on by too. Because I mean, when I know from my own experience, when you first start a relationship, you're so overflowing with emotion, both physically and mentally, and you can't get your mind off of that person. So everything you see, whether it's sexual or not.
Oxytocin.
Yeah, is that what?
Oh, that's a brain chemical that actually is activated that makes you feel in love with that person. Actually, the person even starts to look better. When you start to make love and kissing and literally exchanging the waters in your body, like those activate brain chemicals that activate your oxytocin levels and then like the love hormone. And we are literally intoxicated by love. And we are addicted to that person. And then there's studies that show that the person starts to look a lot cuter.
And like everything you see reminds you of them, and everything you hear, you see, if you see something on TV and or you read an article about some new sex position, you're like, oh, I need to do this. I want to try everything. But then that starts to, over time, the more love I believe that happens, and the more of a connection on a mental level that happens later in a relationship, I feel the respect for the partner comes up. And by doing that, you feel, I don't want to demean her. I don't want to make her feel like less of my equal here. So I feel funny going to her and asking her to try some of these things that might be arousing to me. Does that sound like it makes sense based on other relationships, or no? Because I find that a lot of people feel that way. I don't want to disrespect my partner like I might have in the earlier stages when it was purely like almost...
Then they go for somebody else, or they go for massages or pornography, which is a very sad thing. And then, or they look at other women to fulfill their sexual desires.
Right. Or vice versa.
Yeah. And then my partner becomes this being, and then the body starts to become desensitized. And the very part that makes you feel really attracted to them in the beginning is because your bodies are ready to make babies.
Yeah,
and you go, whoo, this is the perfect match to make really good babies here. So let's make it.
The pheromones are going. You smell things that you like. Everything is a turn on in that phase.
Oh, yes, because the brain chemicals that are firing up. But then that fades, and then the love and the respect and the connection starts to play in.
Right.
And that's where the technique, that's where we make our sexuality as a sacrament, as a ritual for love, where we bring God into bed with us, where I become God, you become God, and through our love, we awaken and we go to a higher consciousness. We bring that love in love-making a way to really come home.
So it opens you up to new pleasures and new desires. You bring up God, though, and I know that's not necessarily... literal, but when you say that,
for me it is. But a lot of people, it's a sin. Okay, well
let's just say for people that might not look at it as you do, because you're a different type, and altogether, this is what you do for a living.
I know I'm not the average bear.
But that's why it's so intriguing for somebody like myself to sit here and speak with you to learn, because I find that when you bring up God, and I shouldn't say speak from my experience because it's not necessarily the case, but when you start getting into that, maybe there's areas like how risque can you get? How, like, is it more about your desires and your turn-ons and turn-offs, or is it more about becoming one and breathing together and reaching this new height of climax?
How about having it all?
Really, you can have it all. That is accurate. I wouldn't think you could have your cake and eat it too.
Yes, in Tantra you can. And you say, well, but then we don't feel like making love, or we don't feel love for each other, or don't feel the attraction anymore. In Tantra, we say, come as you are.
Right.
You come as you are. Oh, I'm closed down. I'm hurt. I'm upset. I'm tired. I have a headache. Or, by the way, ladies, like a man, when she has a headache, it's a great opportunity to bring the pleasure, the sensation into the body, because that sensation, that release, creates the release of the headache.
Is that right?
That's scientifically proven.
I should make a note for that.
So, honey, I have a headache should no longer be an excuse.
I find that
should no longer be an excuse for not making love. Now, when I say come as you are, I mean, you said something and then my heart closed down, or maybe something happened today and I'm feeling shut off and I don't feel like making love, and you don't feel like making love, but we make it as a commitment to come together in a practice that we share love and we awaken and we change how we feel. Yeah. And we expanding love, we expanding connection, and through that love we fulfill our soul. We come to come feeling great again, and feeling loved, and feeling one, and deepen our connection. You talked about, well, can I have pleasure, and can I have love, and can I have the connection? And right. I imagine that you meant to say, can I have great sex, great love, great intimacy, and still feel spiritual and feel full?
I think it's a bit of, it is a bit, because I think spirituality is very important for so many people. And no matter how, I feel like there are a lot of people that would restrict where they are going in their sex life because it might be deemed, I don't want to say,
good girls don't do it.
Yeah, like almost like this is against my beliefs, or what my religion tells me is right and wrong. But if you want to really progress as a couple, I feel there's a need to almost stop being so turned, I wouldn't say shut down, to maybe, like, if you, let me start it this way. If you said to me, I have this extreme, what's the word I'm looking for? I have this desire to be more kinky, for example, right? Like I'm a little more, I want to be a little,
I do have a desire to be more kinky.
Well, a lot of people do, but won't share that. Like 50 Shades of Grey, right? That book?
Yeah.
I never knew that so many people around this world, millions, 50, 60 million women read that book, like housewives who may never have had any adventurous sex in their lives, read this book and they're like, I want to do this. I want to try. And these are people that have never done anything. We all want to do it.
Your body is wired for pleasure. Your whole being is made, your essence is bliss. Now, what stops us is guilt and shame. And we all have some level of it. And I grew up as a Catholic girl.
Me too. Not a Catholic girl.
I grew up as a Catholic
boy.
and I was the first girl in my first communion. I was the best one. And I went to church with my grandma. And good girls don't do it. You go to hell if you do
Catholic
it.
Guilt, of course.
And, oh my God, I was in Europe 2 months ago. And I had anger. I was at the church. And I was so angry at God. And I love God.
But you were angry at him.
I was angry with what religion has done to humanity. And the box that they put sexuality, that sexuality and God cannot come together, and disempower people in such a powerful way. It's like we now are not allowed to be sexual beings, because the very core and the essence of who we are, which would be completely empowering, because if we really are fully open sexually and free, it frees something in our consciousness that we come into our power to do anything we want in our lives.
You become better at work. You become better
Everything.
At sports. Anything you could think. And I found that to be true myself as well. Every time I think I'm too stressed for sex, for example, and you know that feeling when you come home from work, or maybe money is tight. These are things that really do hold back. I think especially men. We have this sort of desire to make sure our family is well, and not a desire, more of like we feel as our part in this, yes, is to make good for our family and provide a life. And then when things are hurting, the job isn't going right, maybe I'm not making as much money, the bills keep getting higher, my money isn't getting high, I'm not making more money. Those things weigh on you, and then you start thinking, I'm not really in the mood tonight to get intimate. And yet, if you actually did it, if you went and said, you know what, I'm going to go as a way of maybe relieving some of this stress, I'm going to go and be intimate with my wife, you always feel like, you know what, those problems are nothing. This is what it's all about right here, me and her and this family.
Beautiful.
Right? Would you agree that that's
yes,
the case?
but I would like to tap into that for a moment.
Please, let's talk.
There's three things that I've made 3 notes here.
Okay.
First thing that I want to address is like when men have stress and they come to a woman to release their stress, we are beings that we receive you as a woman. And when we want you to come in, it's like to come inside of us with your consciousness. We want you to lift our spirit, to bring God in us. So I like, for me, one of the most beautiful things that I can have with my beloved is when he enters me with the consciousness of the whole universe or God self or whatever it is. We call it Shiva consciousness in Tantric lovemaking.
Shiva?
Shiva.
Okay.
Like where he comes and brings Shiva's consciousness inside of my being, which is God.
Yes.
Inside of my being, and he can enter with his lingam. Because in Tantra, we don't call it a penis. We call it a wand of light.
Wand of light.
So the man brings in that consciousness through his wand of light and shines the light within in her. And that awakens her and opens her heart and her sacred temple, which is her yoni, no longer a vagina.
Right.
She has a yoni, which is a sacred temple, where he comes in for a prayer, where he comes in to sacredness, to that divine union.
This is why tantric sex is so intriguing, because you're saying this to me and it's like you're speaking in foreign language. But in reality, if I learned more about it, I feel like it would probably break down so many barriers.
So let's be real here. The guy's coming home and he's stressed out and he had a bad day, and here, I'm going to make love to you tonight, and I'm going to pound you and get all my stress out.
Yeah.
And then she says, well, I don't feel like it. Of course she's not going to feel like it. You just want to relieve your stress, and she's a bag of stress release.
Yeah, and 5 minutes later it's over and everybody's unhappy.
Right, and you don't have any control of how long can you stay there.
Right.
And she's usually not satisfied enough. So let's say if he had control, and if he comes in and say, okay, I'm entering sacred space, and here is my place to expand my awareness, to create more love in my life, to really fulfill my heart in the way that I really want. Because I tell you what, guys, you can have as many women, the most beautiful woman you want. To find that real fulfillment, it will take being a little bit vulnerable. What do I mean by that? Opening up a little bit. Allow her to see you.
Let down the guard. Maybe see some of your insecurities. And I think that's another important point, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
I think a lot of times men will not feel like, I'm not in the best shape of my life. I'm not in the best mindset. You know, maybe I'm not at my best at this moment. And I think because of that, sometimes, like you said, you feel vulnerable, but you're not willing to allow your partner to see that. It's almost like you're hiding it from her or him because you don't want to seem like you're losing that attractive, you know, that confidence. But I think the vulnerability is part of what makes a relationship so special, because that's the only person who will know your true vulnerabilities. But how do we turn that into powerful lovemaking?
Come here, beloved, to see my heart. My heart is bleeding. Oh, my body is not the same anymore. I'm feeling a little uncomfortable. I got this little fat in my belly, and I don't feel as sexual, and I want you to love me, but I can't get over this little thing in my belly, and I don't feel sexy, but I want to love you. How about if we could actually say it to each other?
Get that weight off of our backs. Yes. It's almost a release in and of itself. By saying it feels
pleasurable
like
itself.
I guess I'm finished. I got it off my chest.
Thank you for seeing me for who I am and accepting me with my little fat in my belly, for my little.
But most people don't find that unattractive. I don't know anybody. I almost want to ask Farzin if it's the case. But do you find that you're like most people don't care if their partner is perfect? I never look at a Playboy model and say that's what I want.
If you are in the zone, which I cannot say the name in the radio.
That's quite all right, in the zone. I like that.
If you're in the zone for 30 minutes, would you care for a little fat in the belly of your partner?
No,
really?
I don't think there are many. There may be some, but those people are probably very lonely or will be very lonely because they don't know how to.
And then they're still in their mind too much. They're stuck in their concept of what should be.
Right.
How
Hi, I'm Divine Kika. I'm here to invite you to my new radio show, this and every Saturday at midnight, to inspire you to create loving, happy, fulfilling relationships in your life and have the best sex ever. I'll teach you tantric sex secrets never known before to spice your life and to give you greater joy. Join me this and every Saturday at midnight. Divine Kika Tantra Lounge, Sex Talk Radio. For more information, go to divinekika.com.
So in relation to that and moving into that part of the relationship, and we keep talking about the vulnerability and being willing to stop and say, you don't have to be perfect to be mine. I think a lot of guys actually are into a lot of imperfections, if you will. There are guys that find, for example, pregnant women to be, or when their wives are pregnant, they're more attracted to them than they ever were.
I hear that most men find when their wife is pregnant that she's more attractive.
Yeah.
And a lot of women feel so unattractive when they are pregnant, and I was there. I was one of those. But yet your
sex drive is up.
And,
at the same time, right?
Yeah, I say that my second pregnancy was a healing for my first pregnancy because I didn't feel as loved and as like treasured in my first one.
Right.
So I told my husband, I'm so afraid of getting pregnant because I don't want to feel like my body's getting... He's the most beautiful thing, and he was so loving. And thank you, my ex-husband, for being so loving when I was pregnant and for reminding me that I was beautiful, because every part of me was fighting it. Because of my body was so transformed. And if you are listening to it, and if you're pregnant or if your beloved is pregnant, remind yourself how beautiful it is. You're generating life and you're creating life, and your skin is beautiful. You're glowing and you're voluptuous. Like your breasts are bigger, your body is more voluptuous.
Men really feel drawn. It's
and you're more delicious. And there's truth to it that a woman is more sexually aroused when she is pregnant.
Right. There's a primal, I feel like that goes back probably to when
that is physically because of the pushing of the belly.
Oh, so there's pressure.
Everything is more exposed, and then she will feel more the sensations in her body.
Okay.
That's all I'm going to say.
So that's fine. I feel like it might be a good spot to, because I actually I know we have a special guest that'll be joining us a little later. We have Lana Shay, who is a sensual foodist, which is going to be exciting because I've never heard anything like this before. So I'm sure she has a lot of interesting stuff to teach us, and you will be.
Oh, she has this great topic. She likes to mix food and pleasure, and her whole thing is how to make her foods, because she's a raw foodist,
right?
And she brings sensuality into her food, and I think, our primary needs is food and pleasure.
Yes, it's basically for a man. I will say it's sex, food, and maybe family. That would be the three. But sex and food are probably the two most important. And then once you get married, it's family, sex, food, maybe in that order. Yeah. But yes, I do think that's why I'm very intrigued by that. But before we get to that, we still have some time. I have other things that I think we should. As we speak about all this, I have so many. It's opened up so many other questions for me and thoughts.
Yes. Ask.
When it comes to, the relationship, and we talked a little bit about. We said 50 Shades of Grey. A reason I bring that up is because it's so mainstream. It was almost the best thing that could have happened, I think, to the American public, because we're so uptight with everything we do here, whether it's TV, nudity, and things that are natural. We look at it as like, oh, don't show a bare butt on TV. Because it's not, but that's how we were born. That's how we brought into this world. So these books, although they might be provocative, it's opened up, I think, the conversation now to the average housewife in middle America or the average family to now maybe explore, to go places they've never gone before.
And that's why I like to take people places they've never been before.
Well, you're a teacher. You actually instruct couples. You teach them. It's part of what you do.
Yes.
So how would you go about doing that with a marriage that's been been together for 10 years and they have kids and they've hit a dry spell. They don't find themselves indulging into these pleasures. Now they read this. His wife reads the book and she's like, "What? I'm finding myself turned on in ways I've never been turned on." How do those couples take the plunge, if you will, and start to experiment more? Because that's a huge thing. I think that will open you up to be more fulfilled in so many ways.
Yes.
But how?
How?
Yes.
So what I've been doing for the last 10 years, I do this thing like you see in the movies where I go to paradise places with couples and I change their marriage. I support them to rekindle the love and the passion in relationship and to resensitize their bodies and to learn about intimacy, like to learn about their innermost. Intimacy means the innermost.
Okay.
So they learn the essence, like what is that they are bringing in the sexual sharing. And a lot of us, who in the the path of love, sex, and intimacy haven't been scarred, hasn't been hurt. And we bring, and then when I say we bring God to bed with us, I'm saying what Charles Mears used to say. It's like we bring all our exes, we bring our relationship with our fathers, with our mothers, our past lives, whatever traumas we have, we bring to bed with us. And we need to learn to heal. We need to learn to be our partner's healers. We need to learn to say, here come, beloved, as you are. And I can say, oh, here is my scars, here is my pain, here is my baby girl that's so sad right now. Can you hold her? And if my partner can hold that space,
it opens it up, right? I mean, you feel
magic can happen. You're thinking again.
Every time something heavy comes up, whenever we get to this point in the conversation, I find I'm sinking, which is unbelievable.
Like,
and then it rises on its own, which is even more symbolic. But I might have to stamp, actually, just because I don't know if it's gonna be distracting. Anyway, continue. I have to, actually. Sorry, I have to move my microphone a bit. As you can see, that's moving too.
Okay.
So that's amazing, and I think this information that you're giving and the insight is what's going to help a lot of people.
Yeah.
To go further into that, do you find that most of these couples are afraid because maybe they feel that their desires and the things that are making them, recharging them, the things that make them most aroused are something that might turn their partner off, like afraid to say, this is what I want to do and this is how I want to do it, because they might not be receptive?
So we say that we like to create the space to come as you are, and then when we come to that sacred union, that we actually make this ritual where we remove everything that is in the way of connecting.
Okay.
So let's say, can I do a little
please
exercise with you?
Please.
Would you be okay?
I'm okay.
Do you want to get the other
chair?
chair?
Yeah.
There we go. So we stay up for each other.
Yeah. That was not symbolic. All right, so go ahead. What were you going to say? This chair's broken. So instead of that...
So let's...
That's all right. Come on, I'll go to this chair. Here. It's okay. No, it's okay. People should know what we're doing here. All right, so that might be a little better. Does that work on camera?
That's better.
More this way? Okay. What are we doing?
Okay, there we do it. So I would like to create this space, and I invite you, if you are with your partner, maybe you can listen to this again and make it a ritual with your partner.
Yes.
Let's create a bubble, Greg, that me and you are here, and we are entering in sacred space.
Okay.
Okay, and I would like to remove anything that is in the way for us. We're going to connect as friends right now, okay? So your girlfriend can feel safe.
Yes, I'm sure she understands.
And my beloved can feel safe.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, so what I would like to do is like that we remove from the space of connecting and for your heart to open even deeper and my heart to open even deeper, and then we can create space for each other to heal now.
Okay.
So
how do we do that?
What is in your heart that is in the way to connect with me right now?
What is in my heart?
Yeah, what is it? What is something in the way? The camera is on the way for me, so I remove the camera out of the way.
So, vulnerability, stress.
Stress.
Yes.
So let's take it out of our space.
Okay.
As simple
Gone.
as that.
Okay, it's gone.
Yeah.
I tried, at least, yeah.
Okay. What else is on the way?
I guess would be limitations. Some maybe not knowing where you are.
Fear, perhaps?
Fear, I guess fear might be the word. Where you're afraid that okay, fear's gone.
Well, let's take our fear out of the way.
Okay.
Start to connect.
I don't think there's anything more that, as far as I would be. Maybe I'm not the average person.
Yeah, I can see your eyes are like, now you're a little closer to me now.
Yes.
I'm noticing that.
There's more magnetism.
Yeah,
right.
I'm feeling a little closer to you now. Yeah. Let's see what else is on the way. Fear of judgment of the people listening that we are connecting.
Judgment,
so let me get that out. Okay.
Because other people, of course, are always the most judgmental. Correct.
Yeah, so
right.
I'm taking off all the judgment of other people. I see. And then I feel like we are in a space where we can connect a little. Do you feel there's space within us now?
I totally see
Just
how
this little practice?
you've created a bit of a bubble.
Yes.
You've created our own sphere.
Yes. So now let's bring into the bubble what can help us to open our heart and be even better.
So that would be...
And connect even more.
Any relationship can technically be doing this.
Yes. So I actually invite you to do it at home. Okay?
To get where we are right now.
Yeah.
Okay.
So now do you feel like complete, or you have anything else that you want to remove from our bubble?
I don't think I would remove anything else, because I think a lot of these things are probably, a lot of what we're feeling is important to be there as well. And be present, correct?
So unless it's not.
'Cause that's something you share.
Yeah, just if you're in a connection now, like anything that is in the way of connecting. So, so we remove everything that was in the way of connecting.
Okay.
And now we bring in what is creating connection. I bring in love, universal love.
Okay.
What else you would like to bring in?
Bring in maybe optimism, maybe feeling better about your relationship and bringing that into it. I would say discovery is a big thing to bring in.
Discovery. Okay. I bring in fun.
Okay, fun.
And
balance.
Balance.
Because I think sometimes relationships tend to go one way sexually. The
So
man always
balance.
seems to be much
Harmony.
more... Right.
Harmony and balance.
Yes.
Good stuff. You bring in good stuff.
Good. I'm running out of things. I'm like, what else can I do?
So I bring in vulnerability.
Bringing it back in. Even though we took it out, we're going to bring it back.
Yeah, in a way that we can really see each other.
Okay.
Deeper.
Okay.
How did that feel?
That felt good.
Okay,
Yes.
good. So, and I bring in more joy.
Okay.
How did that feel now?
It feels more relieved. I feel not relieved, less pressure. I feel more open, I think, not only to you, but I think just in general. I think it automatically makes you feel like, okay, we're here in a safe place, maybe. Yeah, I feel like my chair is sinking a little bit, and I'm more in the moment.
Beautiful. I can see into your eyes. You're more present with me, and I feel more connected to you.
Okay.
Energetically, I can feel our bodies kind of like are more like in alignment.
Right, and I definitely always think
I can
that.
go in a little deeper now, and I feel like you're really seeing me now.
Yes.
Which feels really good. So if you're at home, like that's what I would start, like creating that space to really connect and come as we came as we were. We're in the air.
Yeah.
We're on air right now, and we did this.
And it's not as if we are together every day.
We're just
friends that see
colleagues.
each other once a week.
Yeah.
And for us to do it, it's probably more difficult than, say, a couple who's together every day, and they should be able to do this.
Exactly.
We all know the physical aspects of sex, but we rarely hear of the spiritual side. 10 Tantric Sex Secrets for Greater Sex, Love, and Intimacy Tonight by Divine Kika will bring you extraordinary bliss. This titillating and easy-to-read book will transform your ordinary sex life to breathtaking, amazing, powerful. Great for beginners, let this book be your first step to a happier love life. 10 Tantric Sex Secrets for Greater Sex, Love, and Intimacy Tonight. Available in hard copy, ebook, and audio format at divinekika.com. That's divine, Kika.com.
I'm real excited about your new book, 10 Tantric Sex Secrets. And it's really beautiful that you came out with this, and so I'm hoping that everybody can find it and read what she's written here and take a great start to your own tantric journey and take a look at this sweet book. It's a great little pamphlet. It's easy to read, and Kika's just wonderful.
And it should be done often.
Do you think it's okay for, in this situation where the couples are doing, this is the time when you would share those desires, maybe?
I would share fears first.
Yeah.
I'm afraid, blah blah blah. Like, let me think about what I'm afraid with you. I don't have much fear with you.
Yeah.
I'm okay. Well, maybe a little fear of not being understood.
Okay.
Let me see another fear. I don't have much fears with you.
I would have a fear, not
Tell me your
particularly
fears.
with you, but I think in this situation, of course, that maybe people might get the wrong impression when really we are opening ourselves up so that the listeners and people that are here can understand this better. And I think that's what you do. That's what makes what you do amazing, is that you step into these relationships almost as a counselor that allows them to maybe see the things that they're not going to see on their own. And,
Absolutely.
And it's nice as a, I'm sure for my relationship, I would think it would be a step forward to have somebody come over and say, you know what, you guys you're great together, but there's more to this, and you need to explore those feelings
So
to
I
get
would,
closer.
yes, and so if we were a couple, if you were with your girlfriend, or if we were doing this exercise, and I was preparing you to open up to your girlfriend more, what I would do is I would ask all your fears and have you tell me all your fears in relationship, or all the fears that you have for women in general. Okay, and then I would ask your deepest desires, sexually, emotionally, and spiritually, in relationship, and then like from that, we would feel really connected, and then we would share appreciations to each other.
All in one session, or is this
in
over
one
time?
session?
Okay.
And then that's the basic to create connection within a couple. So if you're at home, I gave you a great gift. Go home, create a bubble of love. Make it a ritual. Put it on a candle. Put it on a rose. Put it on a nice clothes. And just say, let's come here, beloved. Let's just sit for a moment and connect. Because we think we know our beloveds, but it's like having a child, and we had a baby, and now they are teenagers, and we go, wow, why are they not a baby anymore? No, honor them and love them for being the teenager they are. So your partner now is older, is more mature, it's a different person.
Right.
Can you get to know your partner for who they are now?
I always find that whenever I go away with my fiance, every time we go on vacation, it's almost like rekindles that excitement from when we first met. When you're like seeing new things, and you're almost equally going at it. So when you get to these strange places together and you're traveling, everything's new to everyone. We're not one person saying, oh, I know where to go, I know what to do. It's almost like, let's look at the map together. And that always seems to rekindle a lot of those raw...
Let's discover each other together.
Yes, those raw emotions, those, again, the primal feelings that you get when you first meet them, and you can't keep your hands off of each other, or you can't stop thinking about them. Those start to return when you're out of your comfort zone. And I think that from my sitting and listening to your show now for weeks, I think I'm finding that is probably the most important thing, is the rediscovery.
You can have it in your everyday life.
Right.
And that's what I bring when I travel with these couples. I will look, what is the resentments that are holding them back?
Yes.
What part of their bodies need to be resensitized and rekindle the love? Or maybe some people, 50% of women never had that full sensation in their bodies.
That's insane.
50%. Okay, now imagine, like, for a man only feels seen, heard, and understood and loved when they are fully received by the woman. Then their heart opens. That's the trick. That's God's trick on us, okay? The woman, they look for the connection from the heart, and then they open their genitals. The man, they feel they need to be received from their genitals, so their heart opens.
It really does make sense when you say that, because, I mean, that's generally the difference between a man and a woman, really, and I never looked at it that way.
Yeah.
There's so many things we didn't even touch upon in this. Maybe next time. Maybe I'll have to join again just so I can get to the next level, because there's things I know we have to get to our guest shortly.
Yes, and she's so exciting. She's going to talk about how we can have more sensuality and deliciousness.
And food, guys. Food and sex.
Sensuality.
There's nothing better than that, other than maybe inviting chocolate, but I don't think there's any chocolate involved.
We should have chocolate here today.
Maybe, yeah, something. Maybe dark chocolate. It's healthier. But next time, when we get, maybe next week, I could sit in again and we could talk about some of these, because I think it's important as well. There's a lot of those modern day issues, like people's infidelity mentally, not so much physically. Those who do text messages or emails to coworkers, or might go online and explore things that they don't do in their own relationship. Yeah. And that usually is what the start of a relationship's demise. Would you agree? Because your mind is elsewhere and thinking of all these things you can get elsewhere instead of in your own home. And
you don't focus it. And what really fulfill their heart, you can have everything you want outside, but if you're not fulfilled at home, you're never going to have that full fulfillment.
Exactly.
That's a big mistake that people do. And I understand that sometimes the way to cope in a marriage is finding something outside. I get it, that some people... They're so suffocated in their marriages that the only way to survive is having something else. And that's so sad, because what we really want is our beloved
You married that person or got with that person for a reason.
There's nothing else that is going to fulfill your heart. And then if you're really that unhappy, you got to get out.
Yes. Then it shouldn't be wasting your time. You got to be brave
and get out and show your children that you choose a life of love, power, and freedom, so your child will not stay in a relationship if they're unhappy, because it would break your heart to see your child in a relationship where he's not happy and he's staying there from obligation.
You're right. And there's nothing more...
And that's something that people don't realize when they...
I agree. And there's nothing better than being fulfilled in your relationship. Having what you want and getting all of those things that you desire and giving them back. To me, there's no greater feeling than that. It's almost a drug to get that.
And then before you give up, like, try everything. Like, really try.
Yeah.
Really, and I mean, really work it out. Get to know your partner. Like, take the time to discover, how can I make this love better? What am I doing that is not fulfilling my partner? Who are you now? How can I support you to be the best human being that you can be? Can I share with you my needs, desires, and emotions so you can support me to be the best I can be? And I have this rule in relationship.
What's that?
Is that if my presence if I'm in relationship with anybody in my life, even my friends, like, my presence in your life should be make the whole world better. And if it's not, I don't want to be there.
That's amazing. On that note, we should step away. You're listening to the Tantra Lounge. Divine Kika is the professional, and I am just a very curious man who has the opportunity to sit here and ask some of these questions. So I hope it was helpful to our listeners and to the people tuning in, because I do think sometimes we tend to internalize so much, and I think you shed so much light on these taboo topics that maybe people should start to open up more towards. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
We should take a break, and when we come back, we're going to talk to Lana Shay, who is a sensual foodist, and we'll tell you more about her. I think you will be able to really, really get to the core of this, so that people, because you have a good way of getting that out of these guests. So I'm excited.
We'll get it out of Lana for sure.
All right. So coming up, we'll take a break now. And we'll come back and we'll talk to Lana on Tantra Lounge, Sex Talk Radio.
Divine Kika is an international Tantra master, author, seminar leader, relationship and sex coach. She will teach you to master your sexuality and self-awareness so you can experience fulfillment and happy relationships while living a life of love, power and passion. She guides you achieve the love life you have always wanted and have the best sex ever. If you want to create a truly happy relationship or to manifest your perfect partner, sign up for private video coaching through Skype and start creating the life you want now at www.divinekika.com.
Welcome back to the Tantra Lounge, Sex Talk Radio with the lovely Divine Kika. We're excited because, Kika, we have a special guest joining us. Lana Shay is a sensual foodist. She believes in enjoying the food that engages all of our senses. For over a decade, she has dedicated her life to discovering optimal nourishment and sharing the best results. Sensual food, also known as real food, is the best ingredient to a juicy love life and having the energy to live each day to its fullest. Apparently, Lana, you are going to open us up to some unbelievably new and wonderful ways to indulge. So welcome to the show.
Welcome, Lana. And you are a ball of fire. I know you are beautiful, you're radiant, and you bring this juice, this deliciousness of the food that you make in your being, wherever you go. I've seen you shine your light everywhere. And I'm so excited that you are here because you're going to share with us the deliciousness of your being. And how did you came up with this idea of having food and sensuality combined?
It's beautiful. It's actually a fusion of things that are happening right here in my own life. My husband and I met, and a few days after we met, he asked me to help him out with his health and get him on track in the kitchen and go in the kitchen and take everything out that I didn't think was wonderful. So I went in his kitchen and started clearing stuff out. And after only a few minutes, I decided that everything needed to come out of the kitchen.
Wow.
Literally. So we took everything out of the kitchen and we donated it, and the stuff that I just didn't even feel like should be donated, we got rid of. And we went and spent a lot of money replenishing everything in the kitchen down to condiments and spices, and just put everything in the kitchen that I believed would fuel our bodies and nourish us and make us feel amazing.
Food that makes you feel amazing. Tell me more about that. What foods make us feel amazing?
So, of course, we all know and have heard of food that is aphrodisiacs, or in a food that can get us stimulated in that sort of way. But I've expanded that to a broader sense where I believe that every food that nourishes the body and fuels us, gives us, the vitamins and minerals we need and nourishes us in the proper way is an aphrodisiac in and of itself. And it doesn't specifically need to be an aphrodisiac. So anything that's bringing us to optimal health is a food that I've coined sensual food.
Yeah.
Food that you can tune into in that way.
So, but I have a question for you. Let's say I have a hot date and I want the guy to be on. I want to be on. I want it to be like, I want to cook for him or prepare a raw meal for him, but I want that delicious meal that will make us go to bliss. What should I make?
So I believe that the cleaner and more, pun completely intended, the more naked your food is.
I like it, naked food.
The more naked it is, the better. So if you can make things that you're not putting a ton of condiments on or ingredients in, and you're doing something like putting a gorgeous, really deep purple or red beet into a pot and letting those colors stimulate you, because colors and food in itself is very stimulating and sensual. So things that have these bright colors and deep colors.
Blueberries, something like that.
Yeah, deep colors like that, and very aromatic. So anything that you smell and it's just makes your mouth water.
So what smells good? What is a good smell?
I've really been loving basil lately. I don't know if you can think of that smell just right off the top of your head, but basil is so
love
fragrant.
basil.
I love basil and tomatoes.
Yeah.
But is that an aphrodisiac?
I don't think that it's actually been labeled an aphrodisiac, but I believe that it is one of those sensual foods because you can smell it and it smells amazing and it smells fresh and it's gorgeous, stimulating for the eyes.
Like arugula maybe, or like mint, like those really vibrant greens.
I thought like ginger, cardamom. Ginger is like a turn on, isn't it?
Is it? I
Yeah,
guess
ginger warms up the body.
you're opening up both of you are opening up my
I'm hungry
eyes.
now.
Yeah, not only because nothing I like more than food is the only thing I like more than food is obviously women. So I think the marriage of the two.
If you see her, you know what she's talking about.
Is that right? So it's exciting to kind of hear put a whole new spin on how you look at food and how you use food sensually.
So what I learned with you, Lana, is colors, naked food, as natural as possible, things that are good for us. But what else should I put? If I'm making this delicious salad and I put beets and I put ginger, and now I have a recipe, ginger, beets, and basil. I don't know what I can go with that.
It's already got me aroused.
I don't know what else could I throw in there. But what is a juice that warms up the body, or a tea or something? I have a tea that I make that I love, but I want to know your tea.
Welcome to Tantra Lounge.
Sex Talk Radio.
Divine Kika is a radiant force, overflowing with positive energy, guiding you to a heart-opening, blissful, authentic, tantric experience. This show will help you to expand your joy, cultivate more intimacy in your life, and rediscover the pleasure within your personal relationships. A lot of people have questions out there about Tantra. I think there's a lot of misconceptions, would you say? Some misunderstandings about what it's all about?
Yeah. When I say I'm a Tantra teacher, people look at me like I wish I could show you their faces. They have these big eyes and like a little you know, when excitement, it's like a little bit of fear and a little bit of nervous, and they look with these big eyes and a big smile because a big part of them is really curious about what it is.
Of course.
But then there is a little bit fear. So it all means excitement.
I think so. It's a stimulating topic.
Tantra is a path like Zen or yoga that uses sexuality as a door to awareness.
That's right.
And then Tantra is also choosing with awareness what brings us joy. Now, if we're expanding that, like what is really be conscious enough, knowing oneself enough, knowing your surroundings, knowing what your deepest desires, fears, emotions, and send that into how can I bring more joy into my life? And from that joy, expand throughout all those around me.
Absolutely. You know, I think that when it comes to Tantra and sex, it's such a hot topic. Of course, people are interested in it. Of course, they want to hear about it. They want to talk about it. But really, it's just scratching the surface of it. Although sexuality is very much embraced in Tantra, it is really not the primary focus or point.
My tea, you know what? Ginger is so perfect. I love that you noted that. I love making tea with ginger. It's super stimulating and warming, and it definitely is one of those aphrodisiacs.
I'm hungry now. It's the strangest marriage of feelings I have right now.
I love that you mentioned food and women are two of your favorite things, because I really play off of that. Like, what guy isn't going to say that food and women are two of his favorite things? So, and definitely what I'm advocating, like, get both of those things in one room in the kitchen perfectly.
Yeah.
So should I put myself on the table?
With some strawberries and cherries, maybe.
Strawberry, ginger. And
well, it's the problem is...
The beets are weird. I don't know
I've
if
never been a beet eater, but I'm looking at it all in a whole new light. But Lana, I think you're almost bringing two of those things that most men don't think of. They think, oh, I'll have a juicy steak, but I also love my wife or my girlfriend. You know, this is sort of like, you know, healthy eating, healthy relationship come together, and it can be like an explosion, if you will, right?
Oh, God, exactly. Yes.
I love the excitement, the energy that's beaming between the two of you right now is like,
yeah,
it's powerful
I'm thinking
for me.
about mangoes. Because when I teach kissing workshops, I make people kiss with mangoes. And one of the things that I actually bought a mango this week
Some of my favorite
with the
fruits.
intention of kissing with the mango.
Really?
Have you ever
Scraping the mango with your teeth?
I can't show you. You're a married man.
That is exactly it. Totally. And everything is way more sensual when you eat it sensually and you kind of play with it, because whoever said you shouldn't play with your food?
You guys are killing me.
Okay, play with the food. Tell me more about that.
I loved your kissing workshop, and I loved kissing with the mango. I've definitely done it before, but it really got me thinking, and I think it's important to do that with all of your food, and it's really important to do that in your relationship. Like, I mean, how amazing would it be if every meal you just took a moment to feed, you know, a juicy bite of something really delicious and gorgeous to your partner, you know, in a really slow, intimate way.
I gotta leave soon.
Okay.
I should walk out.
It's getting hot in here,
The
Lana.
temperature has gone up 12 degrees since the start of this conversation. I was thinking, like, watermelon, for example. Maybe it's because of the juices. You know, when you take a bite of watermelon and the juice runs down, right away you're quick to wipe it away. But if that actually...
That's the deal with the mango.
It's something sensual about that. That's the mango.
Of course. You want food with life force. You want food that has... in Sanskrit, they use the word prana, just like it has some energy in it. You don't want foods that are void of life, because then you're feeding that to the body, and the body has nothing to bring life forth from. You know, you want something that's going to make the body feel the same. Like you look at some plump, juicy, alive thing, and that's what you want.
So for our listeners, do you want to give them a little recipe that is something quick that they can do, that they can start today, other than the mango?
One fun thing and simple thing on a side note that's not a whole meal that my husband and I love to do together, because we're building something together in a very small way, is we like to make almond milk, because there's something amazing about the flavor. And just grabbing, there's a nut bag. You're soaking the almonds overnight like a cup, and then in the morning you peel off the skin, which is like a very meditative, sensual practice in and of itself. And then you mix up those almonds in the blender with water and some dates, and it's delicious. You strain it through this nut bag. It's an amazing process. So I don't like peeling the almonds, because in the middle I'm just like wanting to drink the milk. So Joe likes to peel the almonds, and then I come into the kitchen and I find them peeled. And then I make the rest of the almond milk. So it's this fun thing we kind of do together.
Do you have a website, Lana, that people can visit and maybe learn more?
I do have a website. It's lanashay.com. So LANASHAY.com.
And if you go to my website, divinekika.com, and see the podcast, actually watch or video of the show, we're going to put in B-roll as you talk the videos of you and Joe in the back, so people can experience the deliciousness of you.
And thank you so much, Lana. It's an absolute pleasure.
Thank you.
And thank you for joining us for Tantra Lounge, Sex Talk Radio.